Seward is a small community of about 2,700 people located on Resurrection Bay, a fjord of the Gulf of Alaska on the Kenai Peninsula. Seward's setting on the ice-free port of Resurrection Bay has attracted settlement throughout Alaska's history. The city is named for former United States Secretary of State William H. Seward, who orchestrated the United States purchase of Alaska from the Russian Empire in 1867. South Central Alaska was a prehistoric Alaska Native mixing area. It served as a rich crossroads to the various Alutiiq and Sugpiaq Native groups. They resided in this rich marine geographical region for an estimated 7,500 years. In 1793, Alexander Baranov of the Russian-American Company established a fur trading post on Resurrection Bay where Seward is today. Resurrection Bay received its name from Baranov, who was forced to retreat into the bay during a bad storm in the Gulf of Alaska. When the storm settled, it was Easter Sunday, so the bay was named in honor of the holiday. During the 18th century, many native people were coerced into hunting valuable sea otters for the Russian-American Company in the area. Russian shipbuilding was also carried out in Resurrection Bay, but by 1820, few Russians were left, and any buildings they had built were in ruins. The first recorded American presence in the area was an independent sea trader named Frank Lowell. He settled in the area in 1884 and married a local woman of Native and Russian descent. Her name was Mary. In 1893, Frank abandoned his family. Mary's toughness kept her family thriving. When developers arrived to establish the town of Seward in 1903, they negotiated fairly with Mary and her family for their land. The modern Seward grew around the Lowell homestead and the old Russian settlement. Today, Lowell Point is named after this family. Seward was founded in 1903 by the Belain brothers from Seattle of the Alaska Central Railway. They proposed Seward as the ocean terminus for their proposed railway into the interior. The town rapidly expanded with the arrival of the railway employees. The Alaska Central Railway built around 70 miles of track, but soon ran out of funds because of the difficulty of building a rail line through rough Alaska terrain and corruption in the company. This partially completed route was still used to carry passengers, mail, and cargo further north. After the Alaska Central Railway went bankrupt in 1909, Seward languished with the uncertainty of the completion of the rail line. Ownership passed between different rail companies until the U.S. federal government stepped in to solve the issue. President Woodrow Wilson signed the Alaska Railroad Bill in 1913, which allocated funding for a rail line into interior Alaska from a seaport. Seward was chosen as the southern terminus of the railroad. The Alaska Railroad was completed in 1923. In 1927, the Alaska Department of the American Legion launched a competition for flag designs for the territory of Alaska. Hundreds of submissions were reviewed from various middle and high school entries across the territory. 14-year-old John Benny Benson, a native Unaga boy living at an orphanage in Seward, submitted a design for the contest. Benson chose the familiar constellation he looked for every night before going to sleep at the orphanage. He submitted his design with this description: "The blue field is for the Alaska sky and the forget-me-not, an Alaska flower. The North Star is for the future state of Alaska, the most northerly in the Union. The Dipper is for the Great Bear, symbolizing strength." Benny's iconic design featuring the Big Dipper remains today. The Benny Benson Memorial north of the lagoon in Seward honors this beloved Alaskan. During World War II, Seward became an important port for the United States. After the attack on Pearl Harbor in 1941 and the invasion of Kiska and Attu in the Aleutian Islands, fears grew that there would be an invasion of interior Alaska. Seward turned from a sleepy town into a bustling seaport. Fort Raymond was established in Seward along the Resurrection River and housed 3,000 servicemen. Fort McGillivray was a concrete military fortification located on Cain's Head, a cliff 650 feet above Resurrection Bay. All of the military facilities were closed before or shortly after the end of the war. A large portion of Seward was damaged by shaking and the tsunami of the 1964 Good Friday earthquake. It is considered the second largest earthquake in recorded history, measuring 9.2 on the Richter scale. The shaking lasted for over 4 minutes. During the shaking, a large strip of land along the Seward waterfront, together with docks and other harbor facilities, slid into Resurrection Bay. Tsunami waves soon crashed onto shore after the shaking stopped. 13 people were killed as a result of the earthquake in Seward. The harbor facilities were almost completely destroyed, and the entire economic base of the town was wiped out. Millions of dollars were spent rebuilding Seward. Today, Seward's local economy is largely driven by the commercial fishing industry and seasonal tourism. Seward is among the most lucrative commercial fisheries ports in the United States. Owing to its position at the southern terminus of the Alaska Railroad and well-developed roads to Anchorage and the rest of the Kenai Peninsula, Seward is a major port for several major cruise ship lines that host Alaska cruises. Seward is known for being the gateway to Kenai Fjords National Park. The park, established in 1980, covers an area of roughly 670,000 acres and includes the Harding Icefield, its outflowing glaciers, and coastal fjords and islands. The national park is home to a wide variety of wildlife, from humpback whales and orcas to sea otters and puffins. Seward is also known for the Mount Marathon race held every 4th of July. The race is believed to be among the oldest foot races in America. The first organized race occurred in 1915. Legend says that it all started as a bet in a bar between two locals. One local claimed that a man could race to the top of the mountain and back in less than an hour. The other local did not believe it was possible. Since Seward is a port town, every arriving ship had its challenger who wanted to beat the 1-hour bet. This may have been how the race evolved. For the first official race, local merchants donated prizes and suggested the race take place on the 4th of July. The winning runner, James Walters, finished in 1 hour and 2 minutes. The race is still held on the 4th of July every year. Over 1,000 men, women, and youth take on the challenge. The approximate race distance is 3.1 miles, with an elevation gain of almost 3,000 feet. The race has an average slope of 34 degrees and is 60 degrees at its steepest. Talented Olympic swimmer Lydia Jacoby is from Seward. She is a 2021 Summer Olympic swimming gold medalist in the 100-meter breaststroke. She is the first Alaskan to qualify to compete in swimming at an Olympic Games. In the entire state of Alaska, there is just one 50-meter pool about 120 miles north of Seward in Anchorage. The pool at Seward High School, where Jacoby was the star swimmer, is just 25 meters. Her mother, Leslie Jacoby, helped with commuting to the pool in Anchorage and renting an apartment to make swim practice when Seward's pool remained closed after the height of the pandemic in 2021. Seward's beautiful scenery still captivates all who have the opportunity to visit. Seward's history exemplifies the courageous people of the last frontier who have endured and thrived in this harsh but majestic land.